All right, Ari, you had a great idea of the maze, so I'm just trying to give a little help on where you could get started. I've opened a document here just to mess around quick. I've got a sketch. I put it on the top plane because really your maze just figured it would sit on the ground and look up. So the detail view is more of the top view. And I'm going to insert an image. I took a screenshot, and it's a terrible screenshot, okay? Because I didn't want to get too caught up on this. So I'm going to insert an image, and if you want to do this, this import button often on your Chromebooks doesn't show up unless you zoom out your Chromebook. At 100%, you probably won't see the bottom of this menu if you're trying to recreate what I'm showing you. So I'm going to import. I'm going to find in my downloads. I took a picture of a maze, and then here it is, and I just kind of click and make a sign. So notice it's not straight on, so that's why it's terrible, right? But let me accept that, and then I'm going to start a new sketch, also in the top. But I don't like to sketch in the same sketch as an image because I sometimes, while I'm sketching, want to hide the image, okay? All right, so things to think about. We need wall thickness, not lines. You need a maze that you for sure can solve. So you don't want to do all the work and then find out that for some reason it's impossible to solve it. So you just take a picture off there and never figure it out. Is there a solution? That would be that would kind of stink, right? And I ordered bearings already after you left today that are 1/8 in size. So I would start with a circle, and we're going to make it 0.125. I don't know if I'm inches or millimeters, so I'm going to type inches to make sure. Okay, so I've got that circle that I can use as a scale to make sure, right, if I need to zoom my picture kind of bigger or smaller, right, that I know kind of what that is. So again, this picture's terrible. So ignoring that, it was just kind of a reference of a picture. So it'd probably be awesome if it's like in the, I'm trying to think, like 3 by 3 inches maybe ish. So what if I make a square that's like 3 by 3? Now you could also make your own, right? Maze. I don't know if that's more work or less work, but if you're making your own, and I'm just starting to make a maze, I think we talked about wall thickness, okay? That we want, I don't know, let me see here. Dimension, I think, if I remember correctly, what I said when you were in here was 2 millimeters. What does 2 millimeters look like? Okay, looks like that's 0.079 inches. I don't think it has to be that thick, but that's 2 millimeters pretty thin. So, I didn't put the mm. I'm in inches, so I have to type mm every time if I want millimeters. So maybe no thinner than 1.5 millimeters, and you would just start creating your geometry, right? Of now I didn't mean for that to dimension, so delete that, etc. Okay. Now we also would really want, let me see, we need walls on the outside, we said, right? So I'll do that at the same time. Where's offset? There you go, offset. The offset tool, you can choose the perimeter of a profile, and then just get it to kind of do a consistent offset all the way around. So this outer wall would need to be about the same. What did we say? It was going to be 1.5 millimeters, maybe 1.5 millimeters. So that'd be like the outer perimeter. And then I might go slightly further out. This time. And what if I do 0.125 inches? Okay. And so let's pretend I've got the whole maze, the interior done, right? So that's where it's going to take a lot of time, laying out the maze. So I have a sketch. I'm going to then extrude the entire sketch. Okay. And I'm going to go away from me. And the thickness of the bottom doesn't really have to be that thick. I mean, honestly, 1/8 of an inch at much. So what if I just say, yeah, 0.1, 0.08 inches? It's not going to have to be super thick, okay? I know that seems thin. So a 1/16 is 0.0625. So I'm trying to think of 1/8 is 0.125, right? Somewhere between a 1/16 and 1/8 of an inch is going to be plenty. Maybe I'll go back to 0.1, a tenth. Okay, a little thicker. Make it a little stronger if it's thicker. All right, so we're extrude everything except, and then I'm going to make that sketch visible again, and then you're going to extrude again, and then this is where you're going to get that perimeter. Okay, and all your walls. So basically all the maze walls. The outer one, the inner one, all that. And this needs to be a dimension that's just over 1/8 of an inch. So 0.125 is 1/8. We ordered bearings, these little balls that are 1/8 of an inch. So if we went, not even like a whole tenth, think 0.125. What if we go, 200ths, 300ths bigger, like 0.125. If we went bigger by 100th or a couple hundredths, that would be making the 2 like a 4. Okay, so you get a little bit of clearance for that bearing, and now you've got that shape, right? And then the reason why I have this outer piece is I'm going to extrude that. The thickness of the acrylic that we're going to put on top of this, we're going to extrude this outer area that much above this. And if anything, maybe a hair more than that, because things don't always line up flush, so that would be, the acrylic would kind of sit down inside. So you'll have your whole maze. We're then going to extrude this outer face, and I'll leave it on add so it becomes one with the part. And we're going to go, what was it, 0.145 plus, I'm going to go the thickness of the acrylic by a little bit. The acrylic is 0.0625. I ordered 1/16 inch acrylic already. So think if we go just a hair over that, how about we just round up to 0.07? Accept that. Okay. And now, this is what I was trying to describe. We've got like a little step or shelf that the acrylic can sit inside. Okay. And so now, what if I do a new extrusion? And I'm going to get here, I'll tell you what, let me make a new sketch on this face, and then this is a trick. I can either just use the rectangle tool and just kind of make this, go to those corners, accept that. I can hide that part for right now. I can hide the other sketch. I can make it a little easier. There's just that rectangle. Hide a couple things. Sometimes Onshape doesn't know what you're trying to select, and I can click and extrude all of that. 0.0625, a 1/16. And it's going to go up, and that's supposed to represent the acrylic. And then that part, I'm going to change the appearance. This is just kind of fun. I'm going to do I'm going to make it transparent. You know, if you want a tint to it, something, but I'm setting the transparency like this, so it looks like something you can see through. And then let me bring back the other part. Ooh, let me change part 1 to a different color, because it's kind of like they're both blues. So I don't know what would be a different color that's easier to understand. Not greens. Gray, black, whatever. But hopefully that makes sense. So the acrylic is going to sit in that shelf, and it'll touch the tops of all the walls. We'll just, in a couple, maybe in the corners, just put a teeny dab of super glue, and it would kind of permanently glue that acrylic into the 3D print, and there'd be no taking it out. So you'd have the 1/8 inch ball inside there. So when you start making this, remember you have to, where's my little circle? You will have to keep checking that this is got clearance for a ball. So make sure you don't create situations where the ball can't fit. So don't do all this work and cut it, the maze, right, and then it's not going to fit. So you can dimension the distance in between areas. Think, what do you need? If it's 0.125, the bearing, you need some clearance. What would it look like to add 3/100 of clearance? Let's see. Right, that's, do you need it to be just a teeny bit like that? Do we want more? I'll let you kind of decide that. But then you might be a little consistent. So maybe 0.165, right? If you have a little bit more clearance. And I don't know if that makes the game more challenging, like if it has more room at different places. But as you go through and you start making your maze, you may actually go through and not just eyeball it, but get the pathway widths to all be consistent. Unless you intentionally have some areas that you think, I'm going to strategically do something that makes it more challenging, have fun with it. Okay, so I think a common wall thickness for uniformity and a common path width around that would be great. And then, now that I dragged that circle in there, it didn't know that I should build a part. So, we'll pull that out. Okay. Cool. I hope that little quick tutorial kind of helps give you some ideas on how you could start modeling and creating this. It'll be super, super cool. I think it's a great idea.